Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company, this is the Dog Driver Show. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert Forto and Parto.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is the Dog Driver Show and I am Robert and I'm here with my co-host KP. How's it going?
Excellent. Tonight we're going to be chatting with the third part of our Streeper interviews. We have Lina Streeper with us, and it is a 3-week show that we're going to have, and about their experiences, about their racing kennel, about their dogs, and tonight we are here to talk to Lina about some of that.
Yes, and for folks that are listening, if you missed those shows with either Terry or Buddy, you can go right to our website, dogworksradio.com, and there's a search bar right there. Just type in Terry or Buddy Streeper, and those episodes will come up. But today, we're talking to Lina Streeper. Lina, how's it going today?
Good, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. KP, let's kick us off.
Lina, for some of the people, if they're not familiar with you, you are from Scandinavia. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your basically involvement in the sled dog sport and be part of the Streeper clan.
Okay, I came to Canada in 2006 to work for Bud and Terry as a handler. Prior to that, I worked at a couple of kennels over in Sweden. I had my own little dog team. I had, at the most, I had 15 dogs in my mom's backyard. I always loved dogs, so the more the better. So I guess that's how I got into sled dogs, because you can never have too many sled dogs. And I worked for a couple of kennels over there in Sweden, northern Sweden. That's where I met Bud in 2003. He came to speak at a symposium over there, and well, I had a new dream after that meeting, that I'd come over to Canada and meet him in his own country one time. And so 3 years later I went over and worked for Bud and Terry, and the plan was to come here for a season and learn from the best and then go home and stay in Sweden for the rest of my life. But that didn't happen. I decided that I wanted to stay here, and so I went home and I sold my dogs, and my mom kept my old husky as a pet dog for the rest of his life, and I moved over here in 2007. Yeah, so since then I've been learning and beside Bud and Terry and helping out and trying to compete with them as good as I can.
So, Lina, you kind of jumped in this, not really jumped, because you were involved in sled dog sport in the past also, but in the Streeper regiment, I guess, with their traveling, with this circuit that they follow. We talked to Terry, he said he's been doing this for the last 40 years or so. How do you give us a little bit of input about the traveling and following the circuit when you're hitting the road with Buddy or with Terry and Buddy and your handlers and going week after week, race after race away?
Well, everything we do is routine, and we have a plan, whether we're on the road or we're at home. So it's pretty easy to pick up on that. So whether we're at home training or we're on the road training, or we're at home eating. We eat breakfast at a certain time. We eat supper at a certain time at home. We feed dogs at a certain time. We train at a certain time. So when we hit the road, it's just a little bit different, but again, very, very similar. So I traveling with them. I stayed in the kennel for 2 years. And then my third year over here, I traveled up to Alaska with them for the first time. And it was, it's easy to, I don't know if you say fall into that schedule. It's easy to, because it's just very similar to the work that we do at home. We get up and we water dogs at the same time in the kennel or on the road. And everything we do is to make that team of dogs do better. Whether, again, we plan our Christmas dinners around training and feeding dogs. So it was awesome to get to go on the road, and it's not. It sounds like quite the schedule, but our whole life is like that. We don't change very much because we're traveling. We run a pretty tight schedule at home as well. So
one thing I noticed, and among professional kennels, and Buddy mentioned that, and Terry mentioned exactly the same thing, and they were not interviewed at the same time, is the word routine. These guys, they follow the same regiment again, and again. So there is no surprise. People that ask how, the Streepers, they are the winners, or how the Ellises, they were winning. These guys, they follow the same regiment. I noticed each person in the truck, they have their own task. I'm assuming, is that correct, Lina?
Yes, it is.
Who keeps the peace?
Sorry?
Who keeps the peace in the truck after so many days confined in the dog truck?
It's not me. That's usually the handler that we bring with us.
They keep their peace.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine being married and working together, and that's something that I have friends that they can't stand their husband after a long weekend. They're just not used to spending that much time together. Me and Bud, we work together. We live together. We eat together. We do everything together, and it's amazing. I can be really mad at him, and I go to town and get groceries, and if I'm away from him more than 2 hours, I miss him. Like we are quite a team.
Fantastic.
Not just me and Bud, but same with his mom and dad too. We're a team. The four of us, and then now we have 2 little kids, and me and Bud homeschool our daughters. So same there. They're with us all day, every day, whether they run dogs with us or we have math class or science projects. Or
that's interesting. Actually, that was one of the questions I had for you, Lina. I know you have 2 little girls, and they follow often during the circuit. And how do you put your time between being a mom, homeschooling, taking care of the girls, and be a very, very competitive racer at the same time? How do you manage both of them?
I don't know. I don't know really how to answer that question. It's just how it's always been like that. But again, we're a team. It's not just me. I don't do it by myself. We help each other out. Me, Bud, Terry, and Deb. Today we got up this morning and it was really cold, and it was minus 15 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, and coldest run of the year for us. So the girls are out with us on the first run, but then it's a little too cold for them to be sitting on a 4-wheeler, so they stay behind with Grandpa, then Terry, and then they're doing yard works with him. If I did not have the support from Terry and Deb and Bud, then it would be hard. But I don't do it by myself. And I also have my mom comes over from from Sweden every winter and helps us out. She's a huge part of why I can do all of this, because she steps in her house and she takes over the house chores, the laundry and the food and the kids and the hockey practices. And because once Christmas comes, then we're spend more time training dogs, and my mom can help out more with the house stuff.
So earlier you learned about First Paw Coffee Company, and now I'm going to tell you about its Tail Wagger Blend. First Paw Coffee Company's Tail Wagger Blend is their first offering, and its name and label were crowdsourced from their Facebook fans. How cool is that? The Tail Wagger Blend is a private label premium blend that was developed just for them. It is a medium roast from Colombian beans with tastes of Brazil nuts, grapefruit, and oak. Be sure to go to ak.dog/free and enter to win a bunch of cool prizes. That's ak.dog/free.
Lina, I do have one more final question about sort of the logistics and sort of the chaos of traveling on a circuit. I know we're going to talk about stage racing here in just a second, but my question is more for our listeners or for our fans of the show that may not know anything about this. But I know that your team travels back and forth across the border of Canada and U.S. every year. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How much of a chore that is with all of those dogs and all of that equipment and all that? Are they receptive to that, or is it just kind of controlled chaos with the border crossings each time?
No, it's you got to follow the rules of the border, and we never have problems. We always have our papers and up to date, and papers and passports, and we've never had. I think the biggest one was last year when we had to travel across the border on a tow truck when we were heading to Fairbanks. But they're starting to know us up there. They wave us through and wish us good luck in the race. So no, it's always been good.
So do you have to take out all of the dogs out of the boxes, or is it just sort of here's the paperwork and you guys go on through?
So sometimes you might have to have take the dogs out and show them each dog with each paperwork. But that's up to the border officer. Sometimes they will just say, yep, how many dogs do you got? And we show them the papers, and we have to show the papers of ourselves and ask a few questions, and then we go through. And sometimes they might want to see the dogs or see the equipment that we have with us. But we run a very clean operation and you can open any door and you can see what's in there. And so again, there's never been any issues doing that.
So KP, I know you want to talk about stage racing, and in particular the stage stop down in Wyoming. Is that right?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you questions about that and transitioning. Buddy talked about Wyoming race, and so how do you transition your dog team between running an open class sprint team, doing your 20 milers or 25s, to a stage stop which has longer distances, back to back stages at night, traveling left and right between villages?
So now the stage stop is not a very long distance anymore. It used to be up to 60 miles, but now it's 35 at the most. So it's 30 to 35 miles. So it's like a third day North American. And their trails are awesome. They've all been state groomed. So this year, stage stop was like running day 3 in Fairbanks for a week straight.
Wow.
On hard, fast trails. I saw speeds out there that I haven't seen before in the stage stop. The stage stop has changed. You have to run fast now to be up in the top 5. So training for that it's different than what it used to be. We used to be able to go, we trained slower and farther, and then it was a big difference between stage stop and going up and running open Rondy or North American. Now it's not such a big difference, not very big difference at all, actually.
What pool of dogs do you have for pedigree currently? Are they 16, 12 dogs in your pool?
So you can run, it used to be 16 and you could run 12, but now with the shorter distance they've gone down to, you can only run 10, and it's a 14 dog pool. So you have 4 dogs resting, and at least 4 dogs resting.
So the size of the dogs, they are increased compared to a bigger team. Do you need more power? I mean, I'm assuming if you're going up and down the mountains, you cannot run your 40, 45 pound females in your team. You probably have to have some powerhouses in the back to pull the sled up the hills and on the longer distances.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. They not them the little open girls, but again, the trails down in the stage stops are getting so much better, so they're running light. And if you as a musher are in good shape and you can help out in those big hills, that fast little female that are going to lope up them hills, are, that's not a bad thing anymore. Well, before, I know when we raced, first time I run the stage stop, I was pregnant, and it was in 2010. We were swimming in deep snow, and the little dogs, they had trouble in those soft trails. But the last few years we haven't seen that because they've been able to bring in the state groomer. So as a lighter musher, I can run smaller dogs down there. They don't have to be the big boys.
That's very interesting because a lot of our listeners, myself actually, I thought that the stage stop that they have in Wyoming is tough, deep trails with snow up to your ankle, and you have to boot dogs because otherwise they're going to get fissures and all of that. But apparently it's like more of a longer sprint, like Le Pas or Yellowknife, basically.
Yeah. Now, I think you and me probably have different views on a soft trail. After running on the really, really deep trails, now a little bit like, it might not be a hard sprint trail, but it's not as deep as it used to be. So, yeah, but it's getting better and better, and the weather has been really good the last few years too. Really helped out with. But I was running some 18 miles an hour miles in averaged 18 miles an hour miles in the stage stop this year, and you can't do that on a bad trail. It's getting a lot better.
That's interesting. Speaking of good trails and fast trails, you have a very interesting race in Fort Nelson. Tell us a little bit about your race actually and the Fort Nelson race.
So this year we're going to run our race here in Fort Nelson, the Canadian Open, in the beginning of January. We've been running it at the end of the season, but this year we're going to try to change it up and see if we can get some more mushers coming, and we're going to run it on the 11th and the 12th of January 2020, and it's going to be unlimited, so open class, 18 miles, and we will be starting along the Alaska Highway. So there's going to be lots of spots where spectators can watch the race, and you can actually, similar to the Pas, you can follow the race for quite a few miles along the Alaska Highway and watch dog teams race in the ditch. And we're hoping to get a lot of mushers coming.
Very good, very good. I have another question, very important for you. One of the only people beating Buddy is you. So tell us, how do you beat Buddy?
Sorry, what did you say, Q? One of the only what?
People beating Buddy at a race is you. So I said, so how do we beat Buddy?
How you beat him? You don't feed him breakfast. No. I don't know. It's a tough one. It hasn't happened many times.
So when you come home, I know that at the North Pole race, you beat him. So what is the mood when you come home?
When I come home, and I don't know. I didn't know until I was I crossed the finish line, or until I seen him, that I'd beat him. Because there's something about him. He can just, we can run the same dog team. He's twice as heavy as me, and he could still outrun me. So now North Pole was perfect. Hard, fast trail, 10 dogs. So he wasn't able to have his 20 dogs in there to beat me. I had 2 young leaders that I wanted to try up in lead. A yearling and a 2-year-old, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just really worked out. But going into the race, I didn't think I was going to beat him. So he, and it hasn't happened many times. My first race up here, we went up to Enterprise, my first winter on the road with them, and I got to pick my own dog team, my own 6-dog team, and I beat him. So he stripped down to his sneakers, down to 1 snow hook. He took the lighter sled. He really tried. Oh yeah, and that's the thing with him. It don't matter if we're racing at home, who can run the fastest to the shop or not, or if he's running the Rondi, or if he's running the paw, he goes all out. And I think that is probably why he wins so much, because, he wants to win. It's not, whatever. It's just I'll give this to you. So when I do beat him, I really beat him. I know I did. He didn't know I'd give it to me.
You earn it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, Lina, I have one last question for you. We ask this question to all of our guests, and I'm always intrigued to hear what each of you have to say. And it was really interesting to hear the other parts of your team and what they had to say with Buddy and Terry. But the question is, if somebody were to come up to you, Lina, and ask for one piece of advice, and they were just getting involved with the sport, whether they're doing dry land or open or stage stop or whatever, what would that advice be that you would give that new musher?
I would tell them to come and hang out with us for a couple of weeks.
To see how it's done, right?
To see how it's done. And you mentioned, Lina, about that routine. When new people come, do you kind of just immerse them, full bore to say, this is how we do it? If you want to learn, you can learn. If not, good luck in doing whatever you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We, now I'm saying we, but I mean Bud and Terry. I know they've helped a lot of mushers, and they're always willing to help. We're always, if you have a question, come over and ask us. Give us a call or a Facebook message, or do not hesitate to do that, because if I can help, I will. I know if Bud and Terry can help, they will. But I didn't mean to be, when I said come and hang out with us, I mean that, because there's so many little things that are, if you come and see the whole the whole operation, the feeding, the training, the cleaning, because all those things matter just as much. So it's not just about to have the perfect set up dog yard and then it takes you 3 hours to feed your dogs. You're going to be burnt out. You're not going to have time and energy to do all the other things that needs to be done. Training, everything. So there's so many all the little things. That's what I would do.
So,
come and see it.
So Lina,
Lina,
I have to ask this. I was going to ask this earlier in the show, but now that we've heard sort of this Streeper lifestyle, I have to ask you, since you are the third show in the series, you guys had talked about routine and being professionals, and this being a lifestyle, and you guys doing everything that you possibly do for the mushing season. What do you guys do in the off season? Do you pack up and go to Disney World with the girls? What do you guys do in your downtime?
We don't have downtime. We don't have off season. Good example of that is, so my mom always comes in the winter and helps us out with the girls, and when we're busy with the dogs. And so I told her this year to come and visit us in August. Said, come for a holiday. You don't have to come and work for us. You can come and hang out. And so she's here for 5 weeks, and 3 weeks into that stay, she looks at me and she goes, "When is that holiday you were talking about?"
Excellent.
Because then we have a big garden that we had to look after, and we have puppies, and we have, it's just, we do take in the after race season, we do like to, Terry and Deb goes away on a cruise or Europe or Vegas, or they go on a warm trip, and then me and Bud and the girls usually go somewhere as well. But it's never just a holiday. That holiday is connected with, we pick up dog food on the way home, and we're picking up gear on the way down, and we're shipping dogs, or where something is connected with that holiday. I guess we do have some downtime that week when we're out of the country, when we're sitting on the beach, but other days, it's just different. It's a different routine. It's the May routine, or it's the July routine, or but we're still, Bud and Terry are still the first ones in the yard in the morning and the last ones to leave, whether we're building houses or walking puppies, or mid-December training race dogs. So,
Excellent. So before we close, KP, we've been talking to these guys here over the last hour and a half now for the next 3 weeks, and we've had quite a few mushers on the Dog Driver show, but this truly is a professional dog mushing family, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. They keep us motivated, actually. People, myself, my kennel partner, Kenny, I'm sure Michael Petzner or whoever, we look up to these guys. If you beat them by 1 second in one stage, you're so proud of yourself, because that's an achievement. These guys are the pros. They have a big, huge pool of dogs. They are professionals. They have experience way more than me and the people who are racing against them, and it's great to have elites who are humble at the same time, who share their expertise and experience with us in the field. As Terry mentioned a little bit earlier, it's a big family that we have. You have this entourage in your sphere, and you have some people like them to keep us motivated, keep us educated, and be the top guys in the field.
Excellent. Anything else for Lina before we go?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Lina, for the time you spent with us, and looking forward to see you here on the Avenue for the Rendezvous, or at the ONAC next year.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you in this winter.
All right. Thank you so much.
So on behalf of our guest today, Lina Streeper, this is Robert, and I'm here with KP, and we are the Dog Driver Show. Be sure to check us out over on dogworksradio.com. And if you missed any episodes and you know that the guest that you're looking for is there, just search for them using that search bar, whether it's Buddy, Terry, Lina, John Wood, Michael Tetzner, whoever. Just put them in the search bar and you can find them right off the bat. So with that, we will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
From First Paw Media, this is the Dog Driver Show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you can see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert Forto and Parto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media.